Diddy's kids literally had to walk out of court after Cassie's emotional, shocking, and graphic confession. And that's exactly when actions speak louder than words. But it's not just the kids. The courtroom was in total chaos. Folks walked out crying, jaws on the floor, and the internet fully flipped. What Cassie shared about Diddy wasn't just wild, it was disturbing, heartbreaking, and real. So let's break this down, gently but real.
I was in the courtroom as Cassie was testifying, so let me tell you guys everything that you didn't see or may have not heard, because it's a lot. I will say the most damning part of her testimony for me is when she describes a freak-off where Diddy and another man, an escort, are standing on top of her while she is laying on the floor, high off of ecstasy, and they are urinating on her face, to the point where she is choking on their pee. And to further give context, on the right-hand side of the court, seated, is her husband, Alex Fine.
First things first. The courtroom kicked off with the opening statements, but then it got intense fast. A male escort named Daniel Phillip took the stand and dropped some bombshells. He testified that Diddy paid him thousands to sleep with Cassie, while Diddy sat in the corner watching and allegedly giving directions like a movie director. Wild, right? But it gets even darker. Daniel claimed Diddy instructed him to perform degrading acts on Cassie, things we won't repeat here, but let's just say it made the courtroom go silent. Even more confusing, Daniel said Cassie asked for one of these acts, but folks believe Diddy might have told her to say that. Either way, the judge had to strike that whole part from the record because of how traumatic it was.
Uh-oh. Oh my God. How did I?
Now, here's where it really hits home. Diddy's 3 daughters, all 18, were in the courtroom, but as soon as things got graphic, they walked right out. Not once, but twice. People on TikTok started asking, why were they even allowed to be there in the first place? Some users called it irresponsible and bad parenting, saying it was traumatizing for them to witness their dad's alleged actions in such graphic detail. Others were worried about their mental health, especially after leaving the room multiple times when things got heavy.
No videos were shown today. Instead, jurors were handed personal screens so that they could privately see images taken from what Cassie called freak-off videos. Cassie had a binder on the stand with her, and she was going through images identifying people in them.
Also in attendance was Diddy's mother, one of his baby mamas, Misa, who came in using a walker, looking visibly shaken. TMZ tried asking her what happened, but she stayed silent. And yeah, Jaguar Wright also popped up. The courtroom was packed with family, faces, and tension. Now, Cassie herself finally got up and testified, and her words were heavy. She said Diddy introduced her to oral acts at just 19. She said she didn't want to take part in those infamous freak-offs he organized, but was too scared to say no. Another witness, a male dancer, said Diddy made him role-play as if he and Cassie met at the airport, while Diddy watched, again directing them like a twisted film. Cassie said the freak-offs became so frequent it felt like a job. The longest one lasted 4 days. Like, what even? Cassie also revealed the alleged physical violence. Bruises, black eyes, being kicked and stomped, and her head mashed. She said it happened too often to count. But it wasn't just the physical abuse. She talked about the emotional and psychological toll, how it left her confused, scared, and mentally exhausted for over 10 years. And honestly, the courtroom isn't even close to done. The trial's supposed to last 8 weeks. And if this is just the beginning, y'all, it's going to be a long road. So many are now calling for more witnesses to come forward, especially from Diddy's wild parties, where phones were taken away, even from his own sons. Before anything started, this isn't just another celebrity trial. This is deeper. This is painful. And the fact that his own kids had to witness even a sliver of it, that speaks volumes. Don't go anywhere. You don't want to miss how this story unravels.
Halle Bailey has been granted a temporary restraining order against the father of her child, DDG, after submitting evidence in court showing that DDG was physically violent.
Halle Bailey is taking legal action against her ex, DDG. The Little Mermaid star, who shares 17-month-old son Halle with the rapper, was granted a temporary domestic restraining order on May 13th against the musician.
According to court documents obtained by People, Halle described several instances of DV she claims to have suffered from DDG. The temporary restraining order, filed in Los Angeles County Superior Court, also protects Halle's 1-year-old son, Halle. The judge ruled that DDG has to stay at least 100 yards away from Halle and Halle at all times, including near Halle's school and Halle's car. To support her request for the restraining order, Halle included photos showing her chipped tooth and bruises on her arms from teeth marks. In the documents, Halle says things turned physical in January, 3 months after she and DDG split. She claims DDG came over to pick up Halo and she tried to talk to him about a visitation schedule. While she was buckling Halo into the car seat, Halle says DDG got angry and kept shouting, "Get out of my car, B-word." She says the baby was crying and she got worried about DDG leaving with him while he was so upset. That's when she says they started fighting, with DDG pulling her hair, slamming her face into a steering wheel, and chipping her tooth. Halle says she was in pain and crying, and although the fighting stopped, she was still worried about Halo, so she stayed in the car during the ride to Dee's house. Once there, she told his family what had happened.
She writes in the order, "I then stopped fighting back as I was in a lot of pain," before adding elsewhere, "Daryl lacks an understanding of how his actions impact Halo. He is often verbally aggressive towards me in front of Halo."
Halle also described another incident that took place in March when DDG showed up at her house, entered without permission, went to her bedroom, and sent her a picture of her empty bed with the text, "Now I know what you've been on, LOL." Halle says she took the text as DDG accusing her of sleeping with other people. 4 days later, Halle says DDG lost it when he returned to her house. She told him she and the baby were sick and didn't want Halo to leave, and that's when he started going off, destroyed her Ring camera, and took off with her phone. As he drove away, Halle claims DDG threw the phone out the window and yelled, "Go get it, B-word." Immediately after that, Halle filed a police report, and she stated in her restraining order request that she has Ring footage to support her version of events. And it's interesting that right around this time, G tried to manipulate the narrative and claimed on X he'd been fighting to see Halo for months. This led to DDG's fan harassing Halle and accusing her of keeping Halo from his dad. But for Halle, the breaking point came just last weekend when she says she was on vacation in St. Lucia with Halo and her sister. She claims DDG sent her links to social media posts suggesting she was on the island with singer Brent Faiyaz. Needless to say, fans are supporting Halle and praising her for going to court and protecting her son instead of spreading the drama on social media the way DDG has been doing this whole time. One fan said, "My favorite thing about Halle is she took all the evidence to court. She never went on stream, on Twitter, etc. And that's how she got the restraining order on his A swiftly." And another fan wrote, "DDG tried to weaponize his collection of weirdos by getting up on Twitch, fake crying about not seeing Halo. The whole time he put his hands on Halle. Yeah, you bum, hopefully you end up behind bars."